everyone and welcome to my recommendations video for the Sherlock-a-thon. Okay, so the Sherlock-a-thon is going to be a month-long readathon from the 19th of October all the way through to the 15th of November. If I remember rightly, I'll leave the actual dates here so you can check them out, along with the link to the website which has all of the prompts and all of the information you need to do with it. There's a whole load of read-alongs and watch-alongs and group books and everything else, so do check out the website. But for now, I thought I would give you a little bit of information as well as some recommendations for this readathon, just so you've got a basis of kind of what's going on. The first prompt is retelling, because Sherlock's had a hell of a lot of retellings over the years, and for this prompt you need to read a diverse retelling by an own voices author, and for that I would recommend Cinderella is Dead. Admittedly, I have not read this one yet, but it is on my highly anticipated list. I've seen so many reviews of this as well, and I'm just really excited to read it. It's basically set 200 years after the original Cinderella story, but all is not well in the kingdom. It's got black representation, which is own voices. I'm not sure about the LGBTQIA+ rep in this one. I don't know if that's own voices, but there is rep in here for that as well. The next prompt is the Stout Inspector Bradstreet, which is to read a book with more than 500 pages. Now, there are many different books you could choose from this one. If you are looking for a hell of a lot of recs, I would recommend looking at basically any of the co-hosts for Tome Topple, because each time they do a big TBR, and you will have like at least 20 or 30 books just from those videos alone, where you can find loads and loads of 500-page books. But for me, what I would recommend is any book in Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, because each and every single one of them, apart from Mistborn Era 2, is at least 600 pages long. Now obviously these are huge fantasy epics, but they are really good and interesting, and I do really love them, and in the end it does sort of fly by quite quickly. For me personally, I will be reading Oathbringer for this prompt, so you will not be alone in reading a really chunky book. In fact, you'll probably choose a better book than I am, because Oathbreaker is over 1,200 pages, so I've probably shot myself in the foot there. But that's just what I'm doing. That's just who I am as a person, and I make bad choices. So if you're looking for a book over 500 pages, Brandon Sanderson's a good shout, but at the same time, maybe not go for one of the ones that's over 1,000 pages long, because I feel like that's going to bite me in the foot, not going to lie. The next prompt is the Sedentary Mycroft Holmes, and that is to read a book only in one room. Now obviously I can't really give you any recommendations for this, but if you do want to read a book in one room but you don't have that much time, I recommend any graphic novel, because they're usually around 120 pages, and personally I can get through one in about an hour, so it's really easy to do in just one place. The next prompt is the Capable Inspector Gregson, which is to read a book you hope to learn something from. Now this could be a book from an author of a different nationality, a non-fiction book, a religious text, anything like this, and for that I would say Aru Shah is a really good idea for this one, because this is actually done by the Rick Riordan Presents imprint. So each book is sort of like Percy Jackson in the sense that it's like each one is based on a different set of mythology. This one personally is based on the Mahabharata and the Pandavar brothers, and it's really quick, really funny, and really interesting. I learned so much about the Pandavar brothers throughout this book, and I'm sure I will throughout the rest of the series, and I would highly recommend these books. I love them. The next prompt is The Woman, Irene Adler, which is to read a book written by a woman, and for that I'm going to say Ironheart by Eve Ewing. Now this is a story all about a 16-year-old girl who reverse engineers an Iron Man suit and ends up becoming a superhero. It's one of my all-time favourite comics that I've read this year. It is absolutely genius on so many levels. There's a lot of talk of like Star Trek and nerdery and just owning your intelligence and stuff, while also dealing with grief and stuff like this as well, and it is absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoy it, and if you're looking for a quick read as well, this is definitely one to check out. The next prompt is Professor James Moriarty, The Nemesis, which is to read a book with enemies. And what better than to read The Great Game manga, which is the BBC Sherlock manga version of the episode The Great Game. Now, obviously this is where Moriarty is first revealed and he becomes Sherlock's enemy, and it is brilliant. This is literally, if you love Sherlock the show, you're going to love this, because it is literally word for word, practically shot for shot, the same as the original TV series, and I absolutely love it. So if you are looking A, for a quick read, B, a graphic novel, and C, just some BBC Sherlock to also go into this readathon, because when else can you read BBC Sherlock, manga and just general Sherlock Holmes than during the Sherlock-a-thon, so I cannot recommend this one enough. The next prompt is Thescot Mrs Hanson, which is to read a book set in Scotland or by a Scottish author, and for that I'm going to say City of Ghosts by V. Schwab, and you would not have any idea just how hard it was to find a book set in Scotland on my shelf. I've got books set in Ireland, not Scotland, don't know why, but this is the only one I have, but quite frankly it is perfect, because obviously it's set in Edinburgh, there are a hell of a lot of ghosts in it as well, and that kind of idea, and obviously the readathon is going to go through Halloween as well, so it's perfect if you want to do this prompt now and also fit in with the spooky season, and also it's just plain brilliant, quite frankly. It is creepy, it is clever, and I love it. One thing I will say though is that it does have a lot of Harry Potter references in it, because it was written several years ago before J.K. Rowling became very vocal with her TERF ideology, so please be careful going into this one in that sense. Also, it does talk a lot about death and ghosts and stuff, so if that is not your thing, please do avoid it essentially, but this is quite frankly the only book I've got set in Scotland on my shelves that I know of. The next prompt is The Plagiarist, which is Inspector Lestrade, which is to read a book that's either ghost written or written under a pen name, and I'm going to say The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue for this, because V.E. Schwab is sort of like a pen name, because obviously V.E. Schwab's actual name is Victoria Schwab, and sometimes she writes under that name, sometimes she writes under V.E. As a title as well, but I'm going to count it anyway as a pen name. But quite frankly, this book is gorgeous, it is wonderful on every single level, and I just think it's perfect. Also, you could count it for the 500 page prompt as well, because it is 540 pages in this edition. So if you've got like the UK hardback edition, you should be fine for the 500 page prompt if you want to go that way instead. But quite frankly, I cannot recommend this enough. It is gorgeous, and also physically gorgeous as well. I mean, look at it. And the final two prompts are to do with our main heroes. The first one is the narrator, John Watson, which is to read a book with a narrator. Now, I'm going to recommend The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter for this one, and it's sort of like a retelling featuring the daughters of Jekyll and Hyde, Frankenstein, and general characters like that, and also features Sherlock Holmes and John Watson themselves, and it is brilliant, quite frankly. It's absolutely brilliant. There's murder mysteries, there's gothic tropes, there's brilliant like female empowerment and stuff like this, and female friendship and everything. It is brilliant. I love it dearly, and it is just generally great, and also it's Sherlock-a-thon, so you may as well read a book that's got Sherlock and John in it, even if it's not the original Arthur Conan Doyle versions. It is still a Victorian version of these characters solving crimes. And the final prompt is the consulting detective Sherlock Holmes, which is to read a book with a detective. And I'm going to recommend Skullduggery Pleasant, because it wouldn't be me if I didn't, because he's literally a magical skeleton detective. I picture Benedict Cumberbatch playing him in my head in the adaptions, and he's a magical skeleton detective who actually solves murders and occasionally saves the world from weird, creepy threats, which is just wonderful. I can't talk about this book enough, quite frankly. I can't talk about the series enough, but quite frankly, any book in this series, you can read it and it will fit the Sherlock Holmes prompt. And that is all of my recommendations. Obviously, I will leave a link down below to the website that has all of the information on it. It's got all of the information to all of the prompts, all of the co-hosts, as well as the giveaway and also the watch-alongs, because we will be watching two different versions of Hound of the Baskervilles. The first one is the Jeremy Brett version, the other version is the Benedict Cumberbatch version, which is the one I will be taking part in. Apologies now if I start screaming like a fangirl, because that's just who I am as a human being. We will also be watching The Great Mouse Detective, and all of the information to that will be linked down below in the website if you want to check it out. But with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below with what you're going to read for the readathon. Also tell me your favourite Sherlock Holmes, because I'd love to know. I'll also leave a link down below to all my social media if you want to check it out. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here. And over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time, everyone, bye!